what we've really come to understand is it's the hand action that actually drives.
If you have good hands, you know what to do with your hands. So much works back into the body, and the golfer they're empowered when they know how to use their hands properly. Gentlemen?
So, growing up around Mo Norman was interesting because I first met him when I was I think I was 10. So I was 10 years old at a camp. That was pretty interesting. I saw him actually change his technique fractionally. I saw him change his grip from overlapping to 10 finger. I saw him change his club head from being a bit more behind the ball to starting off a little bit more like a foot behind the ball and inside the golf ball. And so, you know, Mo developed his technique, and he liked to feel like his stance was a little wider, his hands were a little higher. But Mo had a pretty positive waggle, as Peter says as well. So he was the 747 of golf. He didn't waste any time. So, you know, he always stepped into his shots, put the club down, tap it, sat behind the ball. But there was always a motion where Mo, and then he would kind of recoil and do his little thing pointing the golf club. But I guess the theme of this we want you to understand is that good players don't put themselves in molasses. They have a readiness to them. I say in my golf camp 3 things. You've got 2 targets. The ball's got a target, the clubhead has a target. That's a given, okay? The feet, you have to feel the ground, you have to be aware of the flag, and you have to have the weight of the club in your hands. So to do that, does it make sense to be idle, or does it make sense to have motion? I guarantee you go to a busy range on any course in the country, wherever you live, stand on the range and watch the players. The people standing there like this, they're not the high-level players. The people that have some sort of motion preceding the event of their swing, they are the better players. There's a priming event that's required to hit good shots. Mo Norman had it. Ben Hogan had it. The sense of handle first is far and away more used. Bryson DeChambeau, if you slow him down, it's really extreme, by the way. You got to slow it down to see it, but it's extreme. This event of handle first has so many more benefits of width that can develop whip. Again, width develops whip. If you're narrow and pull the club inside, all of a sudden you have the opposites, which are detractors from being a good ball striker. So, you know, I don't profess to be a Mo Norman expert. I spent a lot of time around the guy when I was little, watching and loving the fact he hit the ball in the middle of the face where he was aiming. But do I profess to teach his way? I do not. My real mentor as a coach as a young man was George Knudson, a fantastic ball striker as well, very successful in the PGA Tour.
Got another question from David Wright. Martin, does your pivot respond to the energy of your club head? In other words, do you think about your pivot? P.S. During the downswing.
You know, so David, was it David? So David, I'd say, you know, there's a lot of athletic response. So if I took this golf ball, you know, and I'm going to throw it into the screen, you know, and you watch what my pivot's going to do, you know, my hand is aware of the weight of the ball. I have my intent on where I want to throw this. If I was going to throw it down at the golf ball, if I was going to throw it down into the screen, my pivot's responding to what I have in my hands. Okay, so a lot of that response is, if I threw this ball, it would ricochet into my old tour bag over there. So watch the energy where this golf ball goes. You know, it didn't go straight down a line. It bounced and went out into the right corner of the room, because that delivery is a down and out delivery that my body's responding to the intent of delivering that golf ball there. That event is, you know, that's not something where you're hanging back. It's something where you kind of have to stay up to hit down a little bit. And that event shot a golf ball a little bit to my right. That doesn't mean a club head's going to go to my right. I'm not going to let go of the club head. It's going to continue on its circle path around me, the geometry of a good golf swing. So to me, my pivot responds to what I feel in my hands. Start your swing with what you feel underfoot. Connect to what you see as a goal for where you want your golf ball to go. Feel the weight of the club in your hands. Let the weight of the club how it feels in your hands make you respond. Now, as coaches, we're going to make sure that you have certain things that make sense, reasonable club heads, decent wrist conditions. That's a given. And then from there, the responses tend to be simpler and more effective.
Yeah, great, Martin. I've got one of my favourite toys here. It's an A board, and it's got discs, 2 discs on swivel discs. And if I stand on this carefully, you'll see how the body responds to the hands in a good golf swing and in a bad golf swing. So if I go club head first in the start of my swing, we'll do this is the one we don't want to do. Club head first or arms at first. As I go back, my lower body doesn't want to go. My upper body will pull me back, but I'll get a lot of strain on the lower back, or any part of the back actually, as well as other joints. And I'll be on the wrong path, because as soon as I go back club head first, any body turn sucks me inside. If I take club head last, handle first, instantly the hips turn as a result of the way I use my hands. If I use them correctly, my hips turn back, and then watch what happens as I start to hinge in the backswing. Watch what happens to the hips. So as I start to go back, as I hinge back, instantly, as soon as the hinge happens, my hips are on their downward move. I'm not turning the hips. They're responding, as Martin said, to that club head. The weight of that club head is causing. So now if I throw all the way, watch what happens to the hips as a result of using my hands correctly. So on these discs, I can keep going. Matter of fact, my buddy Simon Owen, when we had these back when I was a few years back, and I had him on these, he was having so much fun. He took his driver out, and he was hitting drives, and they were going 300 yards, and his body was, because he loved the idea of being in balance. But if you swing really well, the swing is very rotary. And so these sort of, I wouldn't recommend too many people stand on them. But that really highlights to me how the hands, correct hand action makes the body work correctly. Incorrect hand action, and then you might have to think of using your body as an extra thought, which is you don't have enough time to think in the golf swing, so you want to respond. So when I do it correctly, I'm there. If I do it wrongly, as soon as I try to take that away with my hand or wrists or my arms or my shoulders, the lower body's resisting. If I push the handle, you can see the body turn, just the effortless action of the hip turn, and that takes the shoulders. And then the centrifugal force, the swinging club head, hinges the wrists. As soon as they want to hinge, it puts a reverse gear on your hip turn and starts the hips going forward. And so that's why you see it. The illusion is it looks like people are dragging it down, but the good players are just hitting the ball. I mean, they can feel the hips, but the hips are the effect of the correct hand.
To your point of that illusion, okay, Peter. So in my studio at work, I've got a fancy 3D system, and I've probably got 60 tour players. I've captured a bunch myself, and then some were included in the system. And there's an interesting thing that I show the golfers. So at address, there's always an angle between the shaft and the lead arm. Nobody plays golf like this. There's always an angle. And let's just call that angle 135 degrees. Here's 90, here's 180, there's 135, just for argument's sake, okay? So as this golf swing, as the handle tends to go first with most good players, as they have this event, this shaft gets up to the top, and let's just call this angle, maybe it's 92, maybe it's 95, maybe it's John Rahm at 100, okay? So it's not something that gets super acute this way. Really isn't. Some golfers they change direction, they jackknife the golf club a little bit, but if you want a swing model like, say, Rory McIlroy, he's not bad, last I checked. Maybe he's not winning as prolifically as he has, but his golf swing's quite lovely. At the top of his golf swing sets at, say, 94 degrees. Well, you'd think on the way down that this angle gets a lot more acute. It doesn't. It stays quite a bit, pretty steady. It only gets fractionally, maybe a degree, like negligibly more acute, and then it starts to flee away onto the golf ball. And that is an average and that's a commonality with most tour players. So think of this to the golfers watching this. If you've got a weight where this club is not balanced in the handle, it's balanced toward the club head, and you change direction and that weight doesn't overwhelm the wrists, there is a force acting away from the golfer for the better players. It's not something where they're letting the weight of the club jackknife toward them. So, as soon as we get a golfer, and this could be the slicer and the hooker, and I know we're going to talk about hooks in a second, but if you have some stability up here and you're not letting things get sloppy, and there's a gradual motion getting the club fleeing behind and away from you, A to B to the golf ball, you're going to collect the golf ball reliably and on a path that sort of gets it in front of you in a pleasing manner. And that's what we want. We don't want the sense of this club getting too crazy, laggy. We want to feel some control of it so we can go ahead and hit it.
What we've really come to understand is it's the hand action that actually drives.
If you have good hands, you know what to do with your hands. So much works back into the body, and the golfer they're empowered when they know how to use their hands properly. Gentlemen, great to be with you. Peter, it's a pleasure, pal. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks Chris, thanks Martin, and it will be great to be here. Just a little mention there, Martin has probably the #1 golf school in Arizona. There are a lot of golf schools there, but you've been rated #1, so that's nice. Nice to be in your school today. Okay.